Welcome back to Kingdom Cast. It's your host, Bad Luck Chuck. We are back at it for another week. This week is all about the defense, or you can say CHIEFENSE. CHIEFENSE. do. But anyway, in the top left-hand corner of country, I mean, that's not only my spot, but he's somehow the star of the show this week, so I guess I'll give it to him. The bottom right-hand corner is my guy, Boogie. And special guest, he's making big moves out here in the Kansas City area. You guys know him previously from Arrowhead Pride. He's a defensive analyst, but now he's with the Kansas City Sports Network. They just launched not too long ago. We'd like to welcome this week's special guest, Craig Stout. Craig, how you doing this evening?
Man, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate you getting to come on with you guys. First time. You had to wait for me to take off, go to KC Sports Network. Now I can jump in with y'all and hang out. No, that's got nothing to do with it whatsoever. Really excited. It's been a big week. The Chiefs did a whole bunch of moves this week and the schedule and everything, so we got plenty to talk about.
Yeah, can't wait to get into it, my man. But you know, first off, man, let's get to the draft picks on the defensive end, because since that's your thing, that's your specialty. The first pick, I know it's a little bit of controversy with it. Seems like half is with it, half is not. Like, what the hell you doing? But let's talk about Nick Bolton, man, to start things off. What do you think about the selection with Nick Bolton and what he can bring to the Chiefs defense?
Okay, I'm gonna take the positional value argument. I'm gonna throw it away because we talked about that a whole bunch. Nick Bolton, what he's bringing to the Chiefs week one is an awesome run defender that's going to play behind the line of scrimmage. He's going to put the Chiefs in more second and long and third and long situations on defense because he's going to be able to step up and play the run really well. He did that really, really well at Missouri. He did it against SEC competition, so it's going to translate pretty quickly here. It remains to be seen what they're going to task him with in coverage. He's definitely playing in the base defense. I think he'll probably play Will linebacker with Willie Gay playing the Sam linebacker. But that nickel, Anthony Hitchens is written in stone in that nickel, but I don't know that Willie Gay is. So if Steve Spagnuolo wants a little bit heavier run defense, wants a guy that's a little bit, reading concepts a little bit quicker, like Nick Bolton, he's going to be the guy that's on the field. And then maybe we get to see Willie Gay Jr. in the dime defense, maybe replacing Ben Neiman a little bit if he can pick up the playbook, get everybody on the same page. So I do think you're going to see a really good run defender out of Nick Bolton, even year one. And then in year two, I think he's taken over for Hitchens. Like, he's your Mike of the future. So from that perspective, taking away positional value, it makes the pick worth it because you don't find Mike linebackers just anywhere in the draft.
Detective Professor, appreciate you, man.
Yeah. So somebody tweeted, I think it was one of those PFF guys, that he's a potential defensive rookie of the year candidate. That's huge praise.
That's huge praise.
That's a little
plus 3,300.
I don't know. Like, snap count wise, would he be able to do that? I don't think he'd fit the criteria.
Man, he's got to play in the nickel. If he's going to fit that criteria, he's going to be playing next to Hitchens as basically, first, second, and some third downs, only coming off the field in the dime defense, unless he's taking over for Hitchens this year. And I just don't think that there's any chance of that really happening. This team loves Anthony Hitchens, a lot, and Spagnuolo's defense is kind of complicated to pick up. So I don't know that they just trust a rookie, but that would be the other way he could get there. I just think that that's a steep ask for him to be able to step in and play, like 75 or 80% of the snaps right off the get-go, especially when you got Willie Gay, this athletic dude that should be out there playing coverage. So I would love it. If he's in the conversation, that means that things went really right for Nick Bolton in year one. But I just don't expect that he's going to get that many snaps.
You know what? We talk about Nick Bolton a lot. How did you feel about Anthony Hitchens last year?
I liked Anthony Hitchens last year. I actually thought that was the best year of his career last year. And you saw the difference when he came off the field and other guys had to call the fronts and everything like that. Man, that defense just fell off a cliff. Like, it struggled to set fronts, especially against the run. I think you got to see kind of what Hitchens means to the defense and those snaps that he was out. Now, still wasn't great in coverage. Still isn't making a whole bunch of plays behind the line of scrimmage, but I do think that was the best year of his career. I think they made enough plays. I think you started to see, oh, that's why they love him so much. So I think that this was the best one. If he's got another one in him like that, that's great. Maybe they can trade him a little bit rather than cut him next year. But I do think it's Nick Bolton's to lose next year.
Yeah, Craig, I'm glad you mentioned coverage because that's been a huge topic when it comes to Nick Bolton because it was like, I guess it was night and day with him as far as coverage because last year in Mizzou, he was playing through injury. And I think that might have been a factor which affected his coverage. But the year before that in Mizzou, he was fine in coverage. So, I mean, what do you think about Nick Bolton coverage? Do you really think it's going to be an issue?
I think that what Spagnuolo asks his linebackers to do, I don't think it's going to be a big issue because he doesn't ask him to man up in coverage very often. That's why he plays three safeties so much. That's why you see Dan Sorensen on these guys as often as you do because they don't want one of these linebackers on that. So I think that he's going to be fine doing that. And those were the things that he was best at in 2019 as well. His man coverage reps were not particularly good in 2019. I mean, they were decent, but they weren't like NFL level good. So I don't think that he's going to walk in and be able to do that. But with everything that they asked Anthony Hitchens and Damian Wilson to do over the past 2 years, he can absolutely do those sorts of things. I think he reads the quarterback's eyes really well. He gets in throwing lanes. Like all the things that those guys did, he can definitely do. That's not a high bar to clear, but it's definitely one that I think that he's going to be able to do. The guy you want in man coverage anyway is Willie Gay. Like put the athletic guy out there. Put, one of the safeties on a tight end or a running back. Like those are the guys you want on him. Have Nick Bolton sitting in the middle of the field and patrolling and be able to, kind of win that way.
Yeah, we got a question from the audience here. Lego My Ego, basically wants to know what are your thoughts on the freshman class converting to Spag style of defense?
Ooh, I don't think it'll be tough. I think that Bolton, like I said, really high IQ guy. I think he'll be able to translate into that as well. I think that Kando is going to come along maybe in year 2. I don't have a whole lot of expectations for him just because he's a raw ball of clay right now. He could get on the field as a pass rusher, but I don't know that he's going to be a 3-down guy. I really like DiCaprio Boodle. Like, I really like him. I think that he's got a chance to make this roster and even like work his way into the defense a little bit. I know that they got I just lost the kid from BYU's name, the safety, Zane.
Is it Shane or Zane or something like that?
Zane or something. Yeah. But
something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But I think that he's got a shot to play in the secondary as well. Those guys are all really good and versatile players. That's what Spags wants, because he wants those guys that can kind of rotate out and create those advantageous angles for Tyron to step into, basically, and trap and, force these misses in coverage and things like that. So I do think that those guys are going to play really, really well into that. I think they've targeted guys like that really, really hard this offseason. So I do think the freshman class plays really well into it.
If you want to talk about undrafted guys, Malik Herring, that was the name that stood out to me from Georgia. I feel like he got a great chance to make the team, and he could be a steal. I mean, what's your opinions on Malik Herring?
I like Malik. I think that, again, you talk about these Spags types guys, and he's got a little bit of that inside-outside versatility. I don't think that he's got a very difficult room to try and beat out. Obviously, Kando being in there adds another guy in there, but like he's competing with Tim Ward essentially for these snaps, and I think that he's got as good of a shot as a Tim Ward does to kind of come in and contribute. I think that Malik Herring is a shoo-in for the practice squad. At the very least, I think he's on the practice squad 100%. They need defensive ends in that room. If there's an injury, especially if it's to Frank, like there's going to be a problem in that room. So I think they're going to keep some extra bodies there. And I think that he has a really good shot to make the roster.
Hey, Craig, we talked about Veach revamping the offensive line, point of emphasis, right? I don't think enough of us is talking about revamping the defense, getting more aggressive. We got Bolton, Hughes, we got Will from that safety from the Broncos. Seem like all these aggressive, laying the wood type of defenders. What you think about that?
Oh, and Jerron Reed too. Aggressive dude up the middle playing on the defensive line too. Yeah, no, they added some fire to that defense. I didn't think that they were really lacking it too terribly much, especially when you compare to like some of the Bob Sutton years, you know, when they were a little bit softer. But I mean, they definitely added some dudes that are not afraid to come up and hit, not afraid to make you a little bit scared of going over the middle. Nick Bolton's that same way. Like if you're going to run a crosser in front of him, he's going to light you up. Mm-hmm. Same with Hughes. Same with, you know, all these dudes are big hitters that are going to make you feel their presence. I think that that's really good because they do have some of that top end talent. Guys like Juan Thornhill aren't like big thumper hitters and things like that. You want that other guy opposite him, somebody that can kick down and really destroy a dude over the middle and make him think twice about throwing that pass. So I love what they've added there. And Reed is going to be awesome on that defensive line. Like he's had to be the guy every year that Frank Clark wasn't there, essentially. So now he gets to come in and be the third or fourth guy. So I think that he's really going to have a good year. I think he's going to make a lot of money next year.
Hey, do you think Reed, it seems like we signed Reed 3 years ago.
Yeah,
and
nobody's
talking about it at all. Like, did they forget we signed?
I mean, like, I think everybody looked at it and it was just like, well, the Chiefs didn't do anything in free agency, and we forget Tooney and Reed. Like we really do, because it does seem, because they missed out on so many guys after that. Like it felt like, oh man, well, we missed out on Trent Williams, we missed out on K'Waun Williams, we missed out on, you know, Juju. Yeah. So those are the things that stick out, and we forget that Tooney, who's going to be awesome, you know, for this team, and we've talked about that a ton, but Reed is going to fit in so well as that third pass rusher. They've needed one. You know, if Frank and Chris are getting doubled, or if one of them's having an off day or something like that, you got to have somebody step up. And last year it was Taco Charlton until he got hurt. And the year before it was Emmanuel Ogbah until he got hurt. So, I mean, there's just been so many injuries along that defensive line that you just need that third option. Now Taco's back. Now you've got Jerron Reed. That's a pretty scary dime rush. Like if you want to rush those four guys out on the field together, that's really scary. And it's really heavy. And I think that it's going to be a really intense group to try and run out there. So yeah, that's an underrated signing. I bet you we get to about week 4, week 5, and there's going to be a whole bunch of people saying, oh, how the hell did he end up in Kansas City? That's not fair.
Yeah, definitely. Lego Maego asked, what about, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, but
no,
I was going to read the question.
Read it off, go ahead. I don't see it.
Oh, he said, what are your thoughts on Trey Boston? Trey Boston is a guy, he's always a free agent, and he's always there at the end. He comes out, he gets signed, he has a couple of good games, and then he's back on the free agent market every year. I like Trey Boston, but it's just something about that that's kind of weary. You know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't. I don't know about Trey Boston, bro.
It's happened so many years in a row now. Like this is year 5 or something like this happening, where basically he's available in July and signs for a 1-year low money deal. And yeah, he's okay for a couple of games, and then for whatever reason that team says, nah, we're good, and they move on from him and he bounces to another team. So he's not even going back to some of these teams that he knows the scheme of, or going to defensive coordinators that he knows the scheme of. Like teams shy away from him after they sign him. So there's something we just don't know about him that's happening there. So I would be a little wary of adding a dude like that.
Yeah, he's like a mercenary or something.
Yeah.
And Trey Boston's been like a name that's been floated around Chiefs Kingdom for the past few years.
Every year. He's a free agent every year. And we bring him up, and then he goes sign with somebody for $1.2 million, and he performs great for 3 games, and then they let him go. It's like, I don't know if he's like a character concern, or maybe he's a jerk or something. I don't know.
Maybe. I'd rather give Rodney Clements a shot, or Zane Anderson, or I'd give one of the young kids a shot. If you're going to sign a guy that you know is not going to be around next year, you've already got starters. Like, I mean, I don't think that Trey Boston is going to come in and play over Definitely not Tyron, but I don't think he's going to play over Juan or Dan Sorensen at this point because they know the system. They know it inside and out. That's why they're here. So he just doesn't make a ton of sense. Give it to a young guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you got the floor.
That damn Dirty Dan. You can't get rid of Dirty Dan.
We don't need to.
We don't need to.
Hey, Craig, so what you think about Melvin Ingram? You see, we had him visited. I asked everybody about him. What you think about him?
I would love him. I think he offers pass rush juice. I think he's in that same vein of like Agba or Taco as a guy that if he's here on a 1-year deal, you can never have too many good pass rushers. And I know that we just got done talking about Malik Herring, but Malik Herring is a shot in the dark at this point. So if you can get Melvin Ingram for the right price and he's healthy, by all means, he's going to contribute more than Malik Herring probably will in the couple of years of his career. He's a guy that you can stash on the practice squad, have Melvin Ingram up there, and have a good pass rush rotation. I was completely on board with signing him before the draft. Everything that they've added in the draft and stuff like that, I'm still on board with signing him. Get that guy in-house for Kansas City.
Yeah, he spoke very high of Mahomes too. Like, I guess maybe his top 100. So, I mean, I don't know. He seemed like a guy that would want to come here to Kansas City and play for a guy like that. So,
yeah, I wonder if he's healthy. I just wonder if he's healthy. Yeah.
Right, for sure. I know the tag professor had something else. He said it really seems like the lack of action and getting more defensive end help means Chris Jones will see some defensive end snaps. I mean, do you think Spags will incorporate that this year with Chris Jones?
I think in the base. Yeah, I think in the base he's going to do that. I just think that Mike Dana is the other guy that's really a base defensive end, and he's going to get run. Both of those guys are, but they swap those guys out in the base a lot. I think that helps Jones a little bit. I think that he's going to line up out there, be able to use his length and his strength and everything like that to set an edge. Basically squeeze a gap, set an edge, and be good against the run with Jerron Reed and Derek Nottie on the inside. That's a really stout interior. All of a sudden, you can stop the run pretty well with that. And then when you get into passing downs, you get into the dime and some nickel snaps, you take Chris Jones, move him inside because he's going to rush the passer better there than he is on the outside. I think that's what everybody's qualm is. It's like, well, how's he going to rush the passer from a defensive end position? It's like, well, he's going to be fine at it because Chris Jones is a really good football player. But you move him inside as a defensive tackle on the dime, all of a sudden he's going to wreak havoc in there. So you don't have to do an either or with that, but I do think we're going to see some base snaps with him at defensive end.
What's the guy, professor says that Herring wasn't even practicing today?
Was he not? I didn't see that either. I thought that everybody practiced today, but I may have missed something.
Yeah, that's a good catch. If that's true, I didn't see that today. So yeah, that's a good catch. Let's see. As far as defense, let's talk about this. In the beginning, it was Veach is not doing enough. We have too many holes. We have this, we have that. A couple months later, what hole do we really have currently?
I think it's defensive
end.
I'm
asking that to the room.
I think it's defensive end too. Personally, I think that they've got a lot of bodies, but nobody that can prove to stay healthy or has proven that they can do it all 3 downs. Like, I think they got some very scheme specific guys that can do it, which is why Jones is going to play out there in some base. So I do think it's defensive end too. Melvin Ingram would help with that, obviously. So I would be cool with that.
Yeah, I know a lot of people done said like wide receiver, but it's like, you drafted McCole Hardman in the 2nd round. I mean, you kind of gotta have to trust him at this point to step up, just due to his draft position. So we're just gonna see how he steps up, man. See how he responds in the offseason and see if he can translate it this season.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of wide receiver, when Louis Riddick tweets something, that's Andy Reid saying it to the Mopo. I know he blocked me for saying that, but it's true. Dang. Louis Riddick blocked me. I wish he would unblock me. I miss his tweets.
He blocked you. He blocked you for saying that. For saying that.
Yes. I said Riddick is Andy Reid's mouthpiece. I didn't mean it in a disrespectful way.
I
but
get it.
I guess he took it like that, you know.
I
So
get it.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
But I think he's so plugged into the front office. If he's saying that, they're saying that.
Yep. As a matter of fact, the Cornell Powell tweet that he put out there, he deleted shortly after. So that should tell you.
He did?
Yeah, he deleted it a little bit afterwards. Yeah.
I didn't know he deleted that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yep. So that should tell you something. He obviously heard something and put it out there, and then somebody said, "Hey, yo, no, take that down." So yeah.
So Craig, do you remember the tweet? Because I was
It was something about I think it was the original tweet that he posted was something about if this offensive line clicks, that this is the best offense that Mahomes might have had, or something to that effect. It was something like that. And then somebody responded with, they still need a wide receiver too. And his response to that was something to the effect of, they really like what Cornell Powell brings to the table. There's hope that he could contribute in year one. It was something like that. It wasn't anything that was horrifically revealing or anything like that, just kind of like alluding to the fact that they're higher on him and that he might be a really big steal. And then all of a sudden he had to delete it. So Chiefs are trying to keep that under wraps, I think.
That's interesting because, like, I know a long time ago, like when the Chiefs first brought in Demarcus Robinson, he was talking about Demarcus Robinson's potential in the Andy Reid offense. Now, I don't know how long it was going to take or whatever, but, you know, I mean, hopefully Demarcus can step it up a notch, you know what I mean, and bring up that potential some. So that's interesting.
Yep. Yeah, we'll see. And, yeah, Chiefs might just be really high on him. I mean, they hadn't seen him yet outside of scouting. Like, so they obviously thought that, you know, he could pick up the playbook pretty quick. And that's the most important part to getting on the field for Andy Reid as a receiver. So, yep.
Okay, before we move on. Oh, okay, Philip, you put the question. I didn't know Everson Griffin was still out there, actually.
Is he?
Is he?
I know that he had the injury stuff and the retirement side of things. Yeah, he's free agent right now. That would be interesting. I mean, he fits.
He was dealing with that personal stuff, right?
Yeah, he was. Like, I think he was talking about retiring there for a little while, but for whatever reason, I thought I'm with you, country. I thought that he signed somewhere, but he has not this year. So,
Didn't he go to the Cowboys? He didn't really fit them too well, right?
He did go to the Cowboys, and they traded him to the Lions last year. Yeah. So I guess after that, they didn't hang on to him. For whatever reason, I thought they hung on to him. I would, man. I mean, he's got juice.
They sent him to hell.
Yeah, they did.
Hey, I'm surprised none of y'all said cornerback, though. Y'all that sold on the cornerbacks?
Listen, at this point, Steve Spagnuolo works magic with me playing cornerback out there. Like I would love for them to add cornerbacks. Like I love a lot of early round cornerbacks that are available to the Chiefs, and they never take them. So I think they feel confident that Sam Madison is going to get the most out of them. And I do think that having DeAndre Baker and Mike Hughes in the building kind of helps me feel a little bit better about that. I guess I just got so much faith in Sam Madison to get the most out of those dudes. And I think if both of those guys are able to play this year and contribute to this defense, I think Sam Madison is going to be gone to a defensive coordinator position, because this will be like year 3 that he's maximizing some quarterbacks that don't have a ton of investment in them right now.
Okay, let's touch on Mike Hughes a little bit.
This week.
Yeah.
Go ahead, bud. I'm sorry. Boogie froze.
I tweeted it out this week. Do you think it's gonna catch up to it? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I got you.
You think it's gonna catch up to us that Veach hasn't invested high capital into a corner yet? I mean, we keep getting these, no disrespect, throwaway corners. We're not really investing like it's a premium position. Do you think that's going to end up catching up to us eventually?
I mean, yeah, I do. I've thought that for several years now, though. Like, that's the thing. Like, I thought that it was going to catch up to him 2 years ago, and then they won the Super Bowl. I thought it was going to catch up to him last year, and then they end up making the Super Bowl again. So I keep saying that it is, just because you can't keep skating by. There are too many good receivers in this league. You have to put some assets into that position. Spagnuolo's scheme is very corner friendly, but that doesn't mean that you can just ignore them. Yeah, L'Jarius Sneed is awesome. That's going to be a very rare occurrence where you get a guy in the 4th round that's going to come in and play like that. It's not just something that you pick up off the street. So yeah, I do think eventually it's going to bite him in the ass. I just don't know when. I don't know if it's this year. I don't know if it's next year, whenever.
So how important is corner in Spags' system? I don't know if that was you, but I heard somebody say the importance is more on safety than corner in Spags' system.
It is. He does so much more with safety. Spags kind of subscribes to the Bill Belichick line of thinking. Like you take numbers to numbers and you just wall it off. And that's where you put your best athletes. That's where you put your best dudes that you can come out there and have them really succeed. And you clog up the middle of the field and you force quarterbacks to have to throw to the boundary because that's a lower percentage throw. That's what Bill Belichick's theme all along coming up was. Now, Bill Belichick invests in cornerbacks. Don't get me wrong. He still does. He spends a lot of assets on there and he finds good ones. But he definitely wants to put guys up the gut so that quarterbacks, so that, tight ends, these guys can't just take advantage of easy chip shot throws to the middle of the field. And I think you've seen that over the years, kind of forcing things outside. Spagnuolo likes to do that too.
Okay, so we got a question from Lego Maego about Riley Cole, linebacker from Southern Alabama.
Yeah.
And Devon Key. He's asked about Devon Key a couple times. So I want to touch on Devon Key.
I think Devon Key's a good player. I was not a primary grader on Devon Key. I've just kind of casually watched a couple games. I've liked what I've seen. I think he's got a shot, especially on special teams. I think he's got a shot to make the roster. But Riley Cole is going to be a stud special teamer somewhere, no matter where he lands. He was at Mobile. He was at the Senior Bowl with us. So we got to see him. But I actually said on our podcast this morning, I think that he's got the ability to play linebacker and fullback. That was one of the things that I saw when I was watching his tape, because he will run over whoever it is in the gap, whether it's his player, a blocker, anybody. He's just going to run to a specific gap and he's going to run through it as hard as he can. That's what fullbacks do. So, I mean, you line them up in the backfield, tell them what gap to shoot. You're going to line up and be able to do that. So I'm very interested to see. He seems like a guy that Dave Tobe is going to fall in love with because he's a hard worker. He's a special teams ace and he's got some versatility. So he seems like one of those dudes 4 years from now we're going to be talking about. It's like, why is Riley Cole still on this roster? Because of his special teams. Like it's going to be that kind of thing.
Sound familiar?
Yeah.
So you saying he's Conor Barwin?
A little bit. He played some defensive end at South Alabama too. He put his hand in the dirt and rushed off the edge. So he does a little bit of everything. Yeah.
I'm thinking, who's the linebacker that tried fullback on Hard Knocks? Who was that? Who you remember that? The white guy with the mohawk.
Yeah,
he was a linebacker.
I can't remember his name now.
What was his name?
Yeah, somebody in the chat hit that. I don't remember off the top of my head. Man. Yeah,
somebody in the chat, give me that. Philip, where you at, Philip? I know you know. Boomer Grigsby. Thank you, Philip.
There it is.
There you go.
There it is. Thanks, Philip.
You know what? Can I ask a random question? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Hard Knocks. What would it take for Andy Reid to do Hard Knocks? Because I feel like he would never ever do Hard Knocks.
Nah, I don't think that he'd ever do Hard Knocks. I think he's as likely to do Hard Knocks as Bill Belichick is. Like, he doesn't want anything getting out. He doesn't want any cameras anywhere near the facility. Like, just stay the hell away. He doesn't want to see you. He doesn't want anybody to see him practicing some random trick play that he plans to use 8 years from now. Like, it's not even for this year. It's like way down the road. He doesn't want somebody to look at that and be like, oh, hell, we've seen that before. It was on Hard Knocks. Nah, he wants to keep everything as quiet as possible. If it was up to him, we wouldn't have heard anything out of rookie minicamp today. Like, it just would have been quiet, like nothing at all.
Yeah, Andy Reid's definitely somebody that likes to keep things close to the chest. So yeah, I don't see a Hard Knocks in our future either.
Nah.
And honestly, I wouldn't mind us not being on Hard Knocks at all, man. That's probably for the best, honestly.
Yeah, we don't need that drama.
do a good enough job. That's about as good as it's getting.
They do.
I agree.
The franchise is good. Those guys over there do a hell of a job.
Yeah.
Man, we didn't get the franchise this year. Like,
I know.
Kind of floating under the radar, but that was huge. I enjoy watching the franchise every what it come out on a Wednesday or Sunday or something like that.
Yeah.
And you enjoy watching the week prior. Like, yeah, I miss the franchise. I hope we get to bring it back.
I'm just saying that the Chiefs won the Super Bowl when they did the franchise. I don't know what we're doing here. Like, this seems like an easy solution. Just do the franchise again.
Make it happen.
You got a point, Craig.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they surprise us and come on with that, but they don't. I mean, we know the reason why, and all that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, they kind of did the behind the scenes with the draft. They kind of did the behind the scenes with the draft. That was cool. So I think they'll bring it back.
I hope so.
So speaking of the draft, all that, okay, we even touched on Can Do, and I think you covered everything we had to say about Can Do. So schedule release comes out. What games are you looking forward to right off the paper? Which ones jump right off the paper at you?
First of all, Vegas here in Arrowhead. Like, come on now. Gruden messed up last year. He's going to get it put on him.
We all did.
Yeah. But outside of that one, Buffalo. I think I love when they put AFC playoff teams early in the schedule for the Chiefs. So the ones that we all think are going to be AFC playoff games. Browns and the Bills early, that's awesome. I love that because I love getting that preview and then going to come back and play them again in like January, February. I'm all in on those early games because it tells us, kind of puts that high water mark out there. It's like, this is how good these teams are going to be. This is how good Andy Reid is at, scheduling a regular season matchup and not revealing too much and then coming back around in the playoffs. Like, I just love that they keep giving us those early season AFC playoff games. So I'm all in on both of those.
Yeah, that's what I said too, Craig. Like,
Baltimore early too.
Come out.
Baltimore early too. I forgot Baltimore was early too. Yeah, that's week 2. Man, it's a good start to the season. Really good start to the season.
If we can make it through that first 7, 6-1. Oh, man, look out.
It's over. It's over at that point. I mean,
really
because the back half gets a lot easier. There's a couple like that Chargers Thursday game is just going to be weird, like because all those Thursday games are. But I do think that the back half is a hell of a lot easier. I think they could rattle off a whole bunch of wins there at the end. So yeah, they're 6-1. I'm going to feel great going into the back half of the season.
Tell the truth, Craig.
I think
who's going to get injured in San Diego? Or LA.
I mean, it's got to be Derwin James again, right? Like the poor guy. I love watching him play football, and I'm never going to see him play football again.
We haven't seen Derwin James in 2 years.
I know.
I love Derwin. Derwin James is my favorite non-Chiefs player. For real.
He's so good.
He is great. He's awesome. Yeah, the schedule is fire, Sammy.
That is.
So what games jumped off for you, Chuck?
Yeah, for me, man, I was with Craig on that, man. I like getting tested early on, because it's going to make us better throughout the course of the year. So, I when I looked at the schedule, I still think the Chiefs can go 14-3. And I think that's been the consistency throughout Chiefs Kingdom. I've been seeing a lot of 14-3 predictions with us. So I think it's about right. I know, like, when the lines open up, I think our win total's at 12.5. And I still think we can get over that. So Andy Reid, ever since he's been the coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, that win total has gone over every year. So he's 8-0 on over.
When are they going to put it at 19.5? That's all I want to know. When are they going to put it at 19.5?
So if
think
Aaron Rodgers stays,
man.
I said if Aaron Rodgers, Oh, go ahead, but I'm sorry. I keep messing with you, bro. I'm sorry.
I think that toughest stretch is gonna be like you said, that Chargers game. We was talking about that on Spaces. There's 3 straight AFC West teams back to back
Yeah, that's not easy.
on a short week. If we go 3-0 out of that, we should be in decent shape.
Yeah. Well, especially you got coming off of that Raiders game that everybody's going to be up for, because that's the home Arrowhead one right before that Chargers game. I can see that they come out a little bit flat on that Thursday one for a lot of reasons.
Yeah. Hey, bring up that question right there from Fight Freak, Chuck.
Oh man, yeah, he hit me up about this yesterday. So nobody worried about the loser team Super Bowl hangover.
Man, I'd be worried about it if this team didn't have Andy and Patrick and Tyron. Like, I think that changes everything. Like, I just don't think that I don't see a situation where it falls apart. Like, I really don't see a situation where those 3 guys allow it to fall apart. And I mean, there's other guys. Tyreek's got that mentality. This offensive line is all brand new, and it's full of guys that, want to win and have had success both at at the NFL and the collegiate level as well. Travis Kelce's going to go out there and want to win. I think there's too much determination, too much of they know what it takes to get back there. I think that maybe they'll be a little more locked in this regular season. I mean, I think those guys even admitted a couple of times that they were ready to get to the postseason. I guess that's the way to put it. They were just kind of ready to get to the postseason by the end of it. So I think that they're going to be a lot more locked into the regular season this year, knowing that they got to get back there and that they want to meet Tampa Bay back there and they want to kick their ass in the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah. We're talking about a team that slept walk through last year and ended up
a little bit.
15-1, basically. So, I'm not worried about a hangover. Not worried about the hangover. I think the bye week at week 12 is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You get through that. If you get through that 10-2, and then you can just cruise for the rest of the season.
Yeah. And those guys get a week off for Thanksgiving. Like, they get to spend a holiday with their family. Like, that's the awesome part about that bye week happening when it is, too. All of us get to, but those guys really get to. That's something that they don't always get to have. So I love the timing of the bye week this year.
Yeah, that was perfect.
Me too, I agree.
That was perfect. They treated us pretty well.
They really did.
How do you feel about our primetime games?
Man, I like them for the most part. I'm surprised that Cleveland was not on prime time. Like, I figured that, and I get that it's the featured 3, mid-afternoon game. I thought that would be on prime time for sure, and it's not. So that's really the only one, maybe Green Bay, but I get why. Like, because if Aaron Rodgers isn't there, who's really going to care?
Nobody wants to see
nobody's really going to care. So I get why they're hedging on that one. But yeah, Cleveland's the one that I was a little surprised wasn't on primetime.
Honestly, I think that afternoon slot is perfect because, like, with Bears and Rams, I know people are skeptical about that Sunday night matchup, but it's kind of new in a sense because you got 2 different quarterbacks, and you got these tough defenses or whatever. And I mean, I think the NFL did it right on the first week, letting Nance and Romo commentate our game in the afternoon. So
yeah, but I'm really looking forward to Aaron Donald versus Justin Fields. Like, that's gonna the rookie's gonna get baptized by fire week 1.
You think Justin Fields starts week 1?
I think there's a chance. I think there's a chance.
I don't know. That Bears organization, man, I can see that.
Hey, listen, if it's up to the organization, Andy Dalton's starting all year long. But I don't know. Matt Nagy's playing for his job.
Yeah,
definitely.
We'll see, man. BJ's funny.
Oh, look at that name in the chat.
What's up, BJ?
Oh my God,
that
Who's
dude.
That guy?
Who the hell is that?
BJ.
He's going to tell me that I'm fired again. You guys don't know this, but when we're recording the podcast, he jumps over in the private chat and tells us we're fired every single podcast that we record.
That is funny. So, Craig, real quick, man. I seen some people complain about not enough having noon kickoffs, man. Okay, so are those complaints legit, man? Because, like, I'm just like, this is the price that comes with winning, guys. Like, I don't have an issue with less noon kickoffs personally.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't either. Honestly, and it gives you more time to tailgate if you're playing some more afternoon slate games or Sunday games. You know, I'm all about tailgating. Like, I'm getting older. I don't want to get my ass up and get out there and start drinking at 6 a.m. as much as I used to anymore. I'll still do it. Don't get me wrong, but I don't like doing that as much as I used to anymore. So I'm all about a mid-afternoon game because that gives me time to sleep in and then wake up and get out there and have fun.
I will tell you who hates who hates late afternoon kickoffs. Concession stand people.
Oh, yeah?
Because people get so drunk in the parking lot, they either come in rowdy and fighting, or they don't want to spend any money because they're already drunk from being in the tailgate. I don't know if I was supposed to say that, but I used to run a concession stand on club level. They hate people with late kickoffs. They're already drunk. They're already rowdy, and you got to cut a lot of people off. It kind of loses money a little bit.
I understand where that's coming from. I get that. That makes sense.
You got a point, country. Yeah. So Frank Clark predictions, I guess. So for Mr. _McLovin, Frank Clark touching 10 regular season sacks. Does he get there this year?
Ooh, that's tough. That's a really good line. Really, really good line. I'm going to say no, but I think he gets 8.5 or 9 and then turns it on again in the playoffs. Like, I still think that he's hitting 12, 13 and a half, you know, that sort of number for the entire season. Oh, I don't know. No, see, that's me talking. The playing an extra game this year. I'm going over just barely. I'm going to say he actually gets there this year because of that extra game. And then he turned it. I think he's going to be awesome in the playoffs because he is. That's when he shows up.
If Frank gets 10 sacks. Oh, BJ,
I'm with you on
if Frank gets 10 sacks, if Frank gets 10 sacks, then we're having a hell of a year on that defensive line.
Oh, absolutely. Because I think this is going to be a big Chris Jones year. I think Jerron Reed is going to command a whole bunch of attention. Like, I think that there's enough bodies to where it may not be one guy that's in, you know, the 15, 16 sack range, but I can see 3 or 4 guys above 8. And that's an awesome pass, especially for Spags. Spags wants multiple dudes to be able to rack up that many sacks. So if they get that many, look out.
Hey, Craig, that's a cherry on top. Honestly, we get that production from the defense.
Yo, absolutely, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I agree with Lego Maego.
If Reed, Clark, and Jones can all do double-digit sacks,
it's over. It's over.
Either we're undefeated or Jesus Christ, that would be crazy.
Yeah,
it would be insane. Actually,
I don't know if Reed hit 10.
You think Reed can hit 10?
One, I don't think we probably. I don't.
He did it once. Did it once with Frank.
He did it once with Frank
in Seattle.
With Chris Jones too.
Again.
Yeah. You got to beat Chris Jones with a punch. That's tough. That's tough. That's a lot of bodies to throw at a quarterback. That's really tough.
Hey, Craig. Do you know the NFL?
Hold on, Chuck.
Hold on.
In this dream scenario,
Country, let me get it off real quick. Hold on, man.
Okay, go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
Craig,
I'm sorry.
Do you know the NFL record as far as like team sacks?
I don't. I can look it up real quick while Country's asking me this question, though.
Okay, yeah, okay. So in this dream scenario, we got double-digit sacks for Clark, Reed, and Jones.
Whew.
Snead probably gets 4 or 5 on some corner blitzes. I give Tyron another 3 on some safety blitzes.
You're forgetting linebackers.
We're not going to do 85 Bears, but who are we comparing this defense to?
Well, I mean, that 84 Bears team had 72 sacks in a season. That's the NFL record.
Hold on, relax. Hold on.
Yeah,
we ain't got that.
Okay. What about the 2001?
I'm just saying, nah.
Let's do the 2001 Ravens.
2001 Ravens. They had a
You
little
got
better
me
coverage.
for the show. Oh, that's messed up.
Yo,
No, I think they'll be good though. I think that they're going to be able to rush. Mike Hughes over under 3.5 sacks. If he's playing the slot,
Let's
over.
talk
Jerry Sneed had, closed out the season
Ooh.
really strong, blitzing from the slot. I think that if he would have been playing all year from the slot, he probably would have been 5-6 range. I think that Mike Hughes has that capability. He's got good burst and explosion, and he's really good at slipping blocks. So he's really good run defender from the box. I think they're going to use him really well. If he can win that slot defender role, I think that he can go over.
yeah, I like what I saw from Mike Hughes on film, man. It's just a matter of health because, like, what I see from him, he's a big body corner. Spags like those type of corners. I like his aggressiveness. I like his physicality, and I like how he play the ball mostly. So, like,
oh yeah,
he can stay healthy. He's a steal.
Oh,
yeah, man coverage is it. And the man coverage side of it is just because he hadn't learned much in Minnesota. We've seen a bunch of cornerbacks come out of Minnesota recently and get better when they left that system. And so I don't think that they're doing them any favors. I don't know that they're really developing players very well. I mean, they keep drafting them year after year because they give up on these guys so quickly. And now this year they go out and they get Patrick Peterson as well. They're not giving these guys the runway. They're not really developing them very well. So I think that it's a good risk because, like I said, Sam Madison's really good at developing these dudes. So if he's able to get the most out of him, he can help him learn some of the little nuances that he should have learned at this point, 3 years in. If he can help him progress with some of those, yeah, he could absolutely do that because he's a first round talent. He just hadn't been able to unlock it yet.
Every draft crush corner I ever had either went to Cincinnati or Minnesota.
Yeah, that's the truth, man. That's the truth. Mine's Indy. Every safety I fall in love with goes to Indianapolis. Every single one of them. So.
Yeah, speaking of Indy, you feel like Chris Ballard kind
Craig.
of posted our talent all of a sudden that was previously here?
Yeah, no kidding. Chris Ballard's like, I know all those dudes. Yeah, it's just sniping our talent.
He's part of the pipeline.
If everything went right with our corners, who will we have starting this year, and what positions? What we have now?
In the secondary? You talk okay.
Yeah.
I think Charvarius is going to play on the boundary. I think L'Jarius Sneed is going to play on the boundary. I know everybody wants him to play in the slot, but I think they got a lot of guys that can play in that slot, and they don't have a whole lot of guys that can play on the boundary. So it's either him, DeAndre Baker, if he's healthy, or Rashad Fenton out there. And I don't know that we can count on DeAndre Baker being healthy week 1. So I'm going to say L'Jarius out there. And then I'm going to say, I'll go out on the limb. Mike Hughes will play in the slot. If it's not him, it's Tyron. And you're going to see a lot more 3 safety sets with Dan Sorensen and Juan on the field together. But if Mike Hughes can win that, then the real battle becomes who's playing next to Tyron. Is that going to be Juan? Is that going to be Dan? At the end of last year, it was Dan. And I know Juan was still coming back from that injury, and he looked better at the end of last year. Here's hoping he can take that job, and we just see Dan in the dime.
Hey, I'm pretty much with that, man. You know what's crazy? You know what's funny, man? All these cornerbacks that we have right now, they all 23 and 24 years old. They're extremely young. So, like, there's a lot of potential there. I mean, I think Spags can definitely work some magic. I mean, he's done it in the past. And like you mentioned, Sam Madison, one of the good corners of the NFL. And it's his heyday. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. But speaking of corners, man, like Bashaud Breeland, he's been a subject all of a sudden. Like, to me, it seems like the Chiefs are close to bringing him back. Do you think the Chiefs are going to bring him back onto this roster?
Man, I think there's room for him. I genuinely think there's room for him because of, like I said, I don't know that DeAndre Baker's ready week 1. And you got Bo Peep Keys. I like Bo Peep Keys, but I don't know that he's going to be that guy that's going to take that extra step or not. We'll see. Bashaud Breeland knows the system. He's physical. Spags loves him. Like, I mean, he has played really well within this system because he's got an incredibly high football IQ, and he knows how to play on the line of too physical until you get to the Super Bowl, and then all of a sudden people start throwing flags. But I know that was a big thing earlier today that people were talking about, the flags and all of that. Bashaud Breeland is a really good cornerback. He doesn't get too many flags. That Super Bowl was an anomaly because they got a really strict reffing crew, unfortunately. But I would love to bring him back. It'd be awesome if he could come back, because I think that he'd start right away on the boundary, and then L'Jarius Sneed can play in the slot. And then you can bring Mike Hughes along as the season goes along too, as you're teaching. You don't have to rush anybody into anything. So I would be completely cool with that. I just don't know if the Chiefs are going to do it or not.
Yeah, man. And that penalty that Breeland got in the Super Bowl in the second quarter, that was bogus as hell anyway. So I'm not really count that. And Fight Freak, I'm with you, dog. I'm with you. The Rivers pack is going up in training camp. I think the game's going to start at right tackle.
Oh, man. We'll see. We'll see.
Speaking,
You see how Niang looked, though.
speaking of Niang,
How did Niang look today?
I'll say on the podcast what I said beforehand. There's a gas shortage, and the man's carrying an extra fuel tank up front right now. Like he's carrying it around with him. I think he moved okay for the little bit of extra weight that he was wearing. He's always been a big dude. It's never been, like when you see him lined up next to Creed Humphrey or, Trey Smith, and those guys look, very athletic. They've just got a different build than Lucas Niang does. I don't know if we're going to see Lucas Niang week 1. I mean, he is still a rookie. Like, he's had the playbook, but he is still a rookie. They haven't been able to work with him in a year. So I think we all want him to come in and get that spot because we all have high hopes for him as a third rounder and an investment that the Chiefs have put out there. But I do think it might take a couple weeks before they really have him out there, which I know that means that it's probably Myles Garrett against Mike Rimmers, and that's a little scary to some people, but Mike Rimmers actually played pretty well at right tackle last year. And he got a lot of help at right tackle, but he's got better players playing next to him this year. So I think that that's going to help him a little bit, and then you can get Niang in there. I think Niang will be starting there by the end of the year, but I think we might see it start with Rimmers at tackle.
I'm glad somebody brought up Justin Houston. Okay, so we all know about the bad split with the organization in the past. I mean, it's a new regime now, but if anything can be hashed out, do you see that scenario happen? Is that a possibility? Like, is that?
I mean, I'm never going to say no. I think that he's at least got the size to play as a Spagnuolo defensive end, whereas a guy like D Ford was just a little light. And obviously now you see D Ford is struggling to stay healthy. But I don't know. I would have thought that the Chiefs would have brought him in by now if that were the case. Like, if they were really interested in having him in-house, I think that they would have at least brought him in, felt out, a little bit, inspected him to make sure that he was healthy still, like kind of like what they did with Melvin Ingram. I would have expected that for Justin Houston by now. So the fact that hasn't happened yet, and they do have that connection, it makes me think that maybe they're not as interested in him as maybe Chief fans are.
Okay, got you. And I've been seeing the Trey Smith questions float around the chat. I was going to ask you this, Craig. I mean, do you see Trey Smith as like a more of a developmental guy in the beginning rather than getting some playing time?
Man,
right out the gate?
I'll tell you this. If Trey Smith's medicals are clear, he should be starting at right guard. And then maybe Kyle Long can play at right tackle. Trey Smith is a really good guard. He is a really good guard. The only reason that he was available where he was is because of those blood clots in his lungs, because he was taking blood thinners, and they were a little bit worried about if he gets another concussion, that bad things could happen. So if his medicals are clear and he can be on the field, there is no reason why he can't start at right guard and be there. Yeah, they're right there. R2J, right guard for the next 10 years, a long time. If the medicals are clear, he is that kind of player. We comped him to Kelechi Osemele, and it was the easiest player comp I think we did in the entire KC draft guide. That's just how he plays. He's physical, he's mean, he's smart, and he's very powerful. And I think that fits really well in what the Chiefs are trying to do right now. So if he's healthy, I would love to see him in the starting lineup sooner rather than later.
Yeah, like I love offensive line for the future, man. Our offensive line should be dope, man. Like
the second team offensive line is better than the Super Bowl offensive line. Like it's crazy this year. It's awesome. It's great. Protect Mahomes.
Not even close, man. In country, you got anything?
So-
You got anything else, bro?
Hey, they said I was talking too much, so I was just listening for a while. I didn't want to be Brandon Marshall, man. I'd rather be Shane Crowder. He's funny. So I was just like, let me listen for a minute. You know what I'm saying? No, I like Trey Smith, man. Trey Smith is, and even if he doesn't make it to be the starter, he's gonna push that guy above him even more. So that I'm with it too. So protect Pat, like my man Sammy said. Protect Pat at all costs. I don't care who they throw and where they throw him at. Just protect Pat.
I don't care what they have to do with the scheme. Whatever they have to do, don't let that man take any more hits.
Yeah, Boogie. Sound like you wanted to say something, Boogie.
Hopefully LDT come back in good shape after sitting the year out too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they got
so many bodies.
If we playing devil's advocate, we betting on Cal Long coming off retirement, LDT taking a year off, and Niang not playing.
That's rough. That's rough, man. Yeah, you got to hope that those guys can step right back into football shape because that's not easy. I mean, I think that Kyle Long is probably the most likely of those guys to be able to do it. I don't think that Kyle Long took the year off because he wanted to. Like, I think his body was just struggling. So I do think that he's the one that kind of needed the year off. Not that, I mean, LDT's out here helping kids. Like, come on. Like, that dude, I'm never going to fault the dude for that. I'm not saying a bad thing about him for that. But, you know, I do think that it takes a little while to readjust to the physicality of the game. So, yeah, you're counting on 3 guys to contribute that haven't played football in a year. That's really hard to do.
Craig, how do you feel about the draft hats, man? Because, I mean, I'm kind of with Lego my ego on this one. The draft hats been disappointing.
Well, I mean, Country's wearing one right now, so I can't talk shit on it, right?
I mean, he likes it,
You can.
Nah, they're all right. I've seen way worse ones than that. So I'm perfectly okay with those draft hats. They typically suck. That one's not bad.
I mean, better than the fountain one.
Oh, yeah. The fountain ones were awful. Awful.
The water fountain was terrible.
Yeah.
That was terrible. So what else? Nobody's talking about Jaron McKinnon signing him. He's floating under the radar.
That's with good reason.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? With
good
reason? Is that
that dude should not stay on the field, man. He has not been able to stay on the field the past few years.
It's true. It's true. But he's a good home run hitter. Like, I do think that he's something that the Chiefs don't have. Now, I had some people asking me after they made that signing. It was like, well, if you're making this signing, why didn't you just keep Damian Williams? Fair point. Like, I mean, yeah, you're looking for a guy that can take something to the house that has that kind of speed and that sort of receiving ability. I do think that they're similar. I think McKinnon's a little better pass blocker, but like Chuck said, he's struggling to stay on the field. So you're really counting on him to be healthy. And if he's not healthy, then I mean, what was the objective by making that switch there?
Yep, then it's back to Darrell Williams.
Yeah. Who's still good? I mean, it's not bad.
Bad.
Not a bad situation to be in, but yeah.
I like Darrell Williams. I like him.
Yep.
Cutting Damian Williams is the only offseason move I did not like. I didn't like that one.
You didn't save that much money. You didn't save that much money. So I didn't get that one either.
Yeah, I didn't like that one.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah, I feel like he still should be on the roster, honestly. I feel like the Chiefs could have used him, you know. But, hey.
Yeah.
He didn't get a chance to run it back, man.
Yeah, no, he didn't. I mean, yeah. Yup.
Yeah, every move won't be right. Nobody said nothing about the Cowboys game. Nobody's interested in America's team this year?
They still a team?
The ratings say they are.
Yeah, that's true. Nah, I mean, Dak coming back makes him fun at least. I don't think that defense is very good. Like I think that's going to be the problem. I think everybody's going to be able to put up points on them, so they better. And Amari Cooper can, and Zeke and Dak, like they got a decent offense, but man, like it's hard to get excited about a team that can't play defense.
It's like I like the young pieces they drafted, but it's gonna take a minute. It's gonna take a minute for them.
It is.
To learn Dan Quinn's system.
Yep.
Ben Neiman slander. Just about like.
Listen,
Okay,
R2J. You're not the one that watches this defense every week, multiple times every week. Yeah.
Oh man.
So what's your candidate for flex game? Because we got one more primetime slot. I think that I would say that Chargers game, depending how the first one goes.
Chargers game's already in prime time though. That's a Thursday.
Yeah, it's Thursday night.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a Thursday. That Raiders
I was
game.
thinking about later on. What do we have? Who do we have later on that could be a possible
Steelers
play?
week 16 is probably a good candidate there. If the Steelers are good, if Ben comes back and he's not like a walking zombie, then that might be a fun game at the end of the season.
Yeah, because I definitely can't see the Bengals.
It's not the Bengals. I don't think it could be the Broncos if they end up with Aaron Rodgers.
Right, I was about to say that. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
I said
that's it though.
Because when the news came out about Aaron Rodgers wanting to get out of Green Bay, I said, would it surprise y'all if he wore the silver and black or the orange crush? Because I knew where this was going. I'm like, he going to the AFC West if he don't go to the Niners. So that's just a good candidate.
Hey, Chuck, breaking news. He's not going anywhere.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
Too late now. They'd be dumb to trade him now.
Alert. Spoiler alert. He's not leaving Green Bay, dude. I'd be shocked if he left Green Bay.
I would too.
Yeah, he might mess around and retire. Got all kinds of possibilities out there.
Yeah, he ain't gonna retire.
Jeopardy, baby.
Yeah, get that Jeopardy money.
His career is in jeopardy.
I'd leave football for Family Feud. I wouldn't leave it for Jeopardy. I'm sorry. Oh man.
So Craig, like overall for this defense, what's your final predictions on this defense? Do you see this defense middle of the road, top half?
Man, it's going to come down to the pass rush. Because I think the Spags is going to have the secondary working. I like the young pieces that they got in the secondary there. And I mean, even though Nick Bolton's coverage ability isn't something like we're really excited about, I think that the linebacking core is the best one that we've seen in Steve Spagnuolo's era here for the past 3 years. So I do think that those two levels are going to be good. It just comes down to, is Jerron Reed going to be able to rush the passer and be able to help with the run up front there? And can they get a guy opposite of Frank Clark that can consistently rush the passer? If that happens, there's no reason why they can't be, top 10, essentially. I'm not going to say top 5 because it's fluky. And with the Chiefs, offense being what it is, Spagnuolo's going to play a bunch of soft dime at the end of a bunch of games, and teams are going to score a bunch of points. So you can't really say, top 5 or something like that. But top 10, definitely. Like I think that they could do that if the pass rush gets itself together.
Bro, that was so annoying because I watched this team closely. Like, look, we had the game in hand already, man. That's why the score ended up being close. Because, like you said, Spags let the dogs off, man. Like, he decided to play soft, and they somehow got back in the game at the end.
You remember for how many weeks last year where it was, the Chiefs played too many close games. They're going to get beat in the playoffs because they played too many close games. They didn't get beat in the Super Bowl because they played too many close games. They got beat in the Super Bowl because they had no offensive line. They had shopping carts out there. So it had nothing to do with anything. So I hated that narrative so much. I was so glad that they made the run that they did to prove all those people wrong.
Like Marcus
Atlanta almost beat them.
Yeah. So
Oh man. Hey, this has been an amazing episode with Craig. I've learned a lot today. I didn't even know who Devon Key was, but thank you, Craig. I do want to keep an eye on DiCaprio Bottle. Is it Bottle or Battle?
Boodle. DiCaprio Boodle.
Okay. Boodle.
Yeah. Keep an eye on him. I think he's got a shot. I thought he should have been drafted.
Yeah.
I thought he was a draftable player. So the Chiefs catching him, I think that was a steal.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, man. We appreciate you coming on. Best of luck in your new endeavor, and KC Sports Network is already blowing up. Y'all can send us like 500 subscribers. It ain't gonna kill us. You know
okay. I'll do that. I'll make sure to just send them that way. The next 500 that I get, I'll send them a personal phone call. Say, no, not us. These guys over here. I'll send them your way. Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun.
Hey, man, thanks for coming on and completing the trifecta. We got every guy from the KC Sports Laboratory. And before we call those other two clowns, we're going to call you first.
Sounds good, man. I'll come back.
Hey, Craig, just let the people know where everybody can find you at, man.
Find me at Barley Hop on Twitter. That's a beer thing. I drink a lot. Find KC Sports Network at KC Sports Network. You can go to www.kcsportsnetwork.com. That's got links to the Substack, which is free until July 1st. So you want to come try it on and see the type of stuff that we're doing over there before you buy. By all means, get over there. Our podcast links are there too. There's YouTube links. There's everything like that. We're going to have our merch up on a store very soon here. So all of that's coming. If you just go to that website, you can get everything you need for KC Sports Network. And we got big things planned with that group of people. So we're excited.
Well, Craig, you were brilliant
tonight. You are too, man.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate you.
Thanks, man.
Thanks,
man.
All right. That's another episode of Kingdom Cast, people. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share on all your social media platforms. Until the next episode, we are out of here.
Peace.
Later.